Welcome to my Celebrity Grave Visits, where I visit the final resting places of celebrities that you and I still remember and love today. Today's celebrity visit: the A-list celebrities at the Hillside Memorial Park in Los Angeles, California. So I'm here at Hillside Memorial Park. It's where there are hundreds of A-list celebrities. It's in Culver City, California. But I want to show you my favorite A-listers. It's going to be a trip down memory lane. First off is one of my heroes, actually. It's Moe Howard. It's Moe of the Three Stooges. I've visited the final resting places of all the Stooges, from Curly to Larry to Shemp, and Moe is the last one now that I've been to. Moe was, of course, the leader of the Three Stooges, both on-screen and off-screen, and his brothers Curly and Shemp and his best friend Larry's are really the reason that I moved to Los Angeles after high school. And sticking with old-time comics, here's the late, great Milton Berle, Uncle Milty. Milton Berle was the king of NBC back in the golden age. He was the first American television star when TV was really first invented. He had the corner on comedy on television. And speaking of comics, I'm on my way to another legend of comedy television, but I just passed this one here, Sammy Shore. This is Pauly Shore's dad, but Sammy Shore was a comedian in his own right, and his wife was Mitzi Shore, who owns the Comedy Store, where actually Sammy used to perform as a comedian. I actually did a television show with Pauly Shore and his father about 20 years ago, so I got to work with him. A really, really funny guy, a really nice guy. I really miss Sammy Shore. And like I said, I'm on my way to a comedy legend, and here it is. It's Jack Benny. Here he is with his wife, Mary. Jack Benny started on the radio, doing the Jack Benny program, where he would play the violin and make jokes, and eventually he became one of television's biggest shows in the 50s, and I really, really liked him. His whole act was that he was really stingy, and he had a guy named Rochester. And speaking of television royalty, here's Michael Landon. He was the star of Little House on the Prairie and Bonanza, and then later on he had a show called Highway to Heaven. He died actually very young. He died at the age of 54 of cancer, but he was beloved in the 70s. And incidentally, his daughter, Jennifer Landon, is an actress in that television show Yellowstone. And I guess continuing on with my television heroes, who can forget Leonard Nimoy, Dr. Spock. I actually used to see him at a restaurant. It was a deli in Westwood called Junior's all the time. And he was so down to earth, and I always used to really get a kick out of how much I was such a fan of his as a kid. Now moving on in the television world, it's Larry King. Larry King just died in 2021, and it's funny, I used to see him at another deli in Beverly Hills, Nate Nowell's, and he was there every morning with a group of guys having breakfast for, it seemed like decades. Now, in case you haven't guessed, yes, it's a lot of deli because this is a Jewish cemetery. Everybody here is Jewish. Next up, here's Eydie Cantor. He's another actor, singer, comedian that was beloved in Hollywood during the golden heyday of entertainment. And continuing that theme, over here is Dinah Shore. She was a singer and actress, and she, was the pitch lady for, Chevy. She sang that song, See the USA in the Chevrolet. And she also did the Christmas song, Baby, It's Cold Outside. She had a big show called The Dinah Shore Show. She dated Burt Reynolds, and she was one of these beloved women in entertainment for decades. Now, as I pass through to the other side, I'm passing Baseball Hall of Fame legend star Hank Greenberg. He was the star of the Detroit Tigers and the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he was one of the first Jewish sports superstars that ever existed in America. And next to him is Max Factor, and the Max Factor family. Now, they're not just cosmetic lines, but they're the ones who invented the makeup for Hollywood when movies first started to go to color, and whose whole family is right here. And moving down, here is Eydie Gourmet, and if you look next door, you'll see Michael Gourmet and an open spot. Let me explain. Steve and Eydie, Steve Lawrence and Eydie Gourmet, were a big duo performing songs in the 60s and 70s. And they had 2 kids, David and Michael, and their son Michael died suddenly from a heart condition when he was only 23. And so they are now buried next to him here, because Steve only passed away early this year in 2024, and this is where he is, but they haven't put up his nameplate yet. So Michael is in between Steve and Eydie. Now, there's plenty of mausoleums and just walking grounds and crypts and things, and all these famous people are buried all over this, so it's going to take some time to walk around. Now, here's also one of my favorite actors from movies like Some Like It Hot and Spartacus and Houdini. It's Tony Curtis. He was Jamie Lee Curtis's dad. I really, really like Tony Curtis. A really fun actor. And speaking of a great actor, here's a great actress. It's Shelley Winters. She was in The Poseidon Adventure and Lolita. She won an Oscar for The Diary of Anne Frank, and she won another one for a movie called A Patch of Blue. Shelley Winters is one of these great actresses who just everyone remembers and just thinks was terrific. Now, perhaps the biggest, most over-the-top memorial here, or even ever, is the one that's right here, and it's for Al Jolson. Now, he's known as being the first man to ever speak in a talking picture. It was for this movie, The Jazz Singer, where he put on blackface and he sang that song, My Mammy. And funny, it doesn't really work today, but back then it was amazing. And this entire thing, this entire memorial is his. I mean, it's tremendous. You can see it from the freeway as you're driving in. And before we go, I just want to point out this one here. This is David Begelman. David Begelman was the head of Columbia Pictures in the 1970s. But if you haven't heard of him, it's because he had to leave. He was fired. He was disgraced in an embezzlement scandal. It turned out he was stealing the residual checks of actors and signing them. And he got caught. There was actually a book written about it. It was called Indecent Exposure. I'm really just touching the surface on so many of the people that are here. This place is huge. It's like a square mile. Subscribe to the channel because I will continue to make these types of videos. If you tell me in the comments that you're interested, and tell me who you're interested in seeing, and I'll do it. My thoughts are, obviously, I love comedians, so seeing Milton Berle and seeing Moe from the Three Stooges and people like that obviously are near and dear to my heart. Want to know your thoughts. Take care.